Still stays.
No, I didn't. It's just like. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, from the board, no ex parte communications, and so we'll turn it over to the approval of the meeting minutes from the previous planning commission meeting. I had no.
I don't know if those are.
We'll get them at the
Real
next
parts
one.
doing
We don't have any at-large presentations. We'll be hearing a presentation about the Trails Master Plan during the public hearing. And so I'll turn it over to Trish and Brian for the county commission update.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. I'll just start off. I'll make it really quick. There were three things it looks like that we had at the last commission meeting. One was the Andrew is now the official zoning administrator. The other was the Meadow plat. Originally was as an ordinance and it got changed over to a resolution. And then coming up on the next commission meeting, which is tomorrow, we have the Bates and the Lavina public hearings that we're opening up for the commission.
Thank you. Trish, did you have anything?
No, I asked Brian to do it.
Super.
Basically.
Well, thank you very much. We're moving along at a burst pace tonight.
Was there a question about if we had quorum or some of those other, what was that about?
Yeah, so item 3 on the agenda
Okay.
is a revote of Lavina because it was 3-1 and you have to have 4.
What was
But
the
that's
vote
not
on Bates?
four.
Bates
Yeah,
was
That's not
4-2.
Okay,
I've got to read that, but
Insufficient quantity.
they did.
correct. So it would be a neutral recommendation as of right now.
well,
So-
you have to have a recommendation coming out of the planning commission.
Right.
To
Well,
proceed.
We'll get to that when the agenda. And so, we'll move on to general business. First things first, we'd like to adopt the planning commission 2026 meeting schedule. The schedule has been provided to us for the sake of the record and folks online. I'm just gonna very quickly run through the dates out loud into the record so that we have them recorded. Beginning in January 2026, the regular planning commission meetings, which are typically held on the first and second Thursdays of the month. There will be some changes here to move around holidays, things like that. But beginning in January 2026, we'll have January 5, January 16, February 2, and February 13. Those are Thursdays. The January 16th and 13th, that is because the holidays fall on Monday. Then March 2nd and 16th, April 6th and 20th, May 4th and 18th, June 1st and 15th, July 6th and 20th, August 3rd and 17th. I'm sorry, I'm realizing I'm reading off the agenda deadlines. So that's the 12th and 26th, 9th and 23rd, 9th and 23rd, 13th and 27th, 11th and 26th, then June 18 and 22, July 13 and 27, August 10 and 24, September 14 and 28, October 12 and 26, November 9 and 23, and then December 14 and 28. It looks like in 2026, we don't run into the problem of having a regular planning commission meeting fall on any of the observed holidays around Christmas or New Year's. And so I don't think, do we have any?
You have Memorial Day.
It's just May.
Oh, that's full.
Gotcha. Right, and we do we need to change that May 26th? Well, yeah, it's bumped back.
Yeah,
Already, he already.
that's okay with everybody.
Yeah, that sounds good with me. So at that point, as presented, thank you for already finding the holidays and moving the dates around, Andrew. That saves a lot of time.
I just saw it from Dana and I just put it in the planning commission, so.
Because normally we all just pull out our phones in this moment.
Well, that 26 right there, is that also the commission meeting day?
That may also be a commission meeting day. Do we need to worry about?
I don't
Could
think
you-
it is, it's first and third.
First and third,
Is
right?
it first and third?
Yeah.
Okay, super.
Okay.
Did you say 8th and 22nd in June or 18th?
June 8 and 22.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And we will be going to 5:30 starting
Yes.
in January.
Yeah, we discussed that in the last
Mm.
meeting.
So new start time 5:30,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. And then that would be, if I remember the conversation, the public comment period would begin at 5:30, and then we would have another one at 6:30. Okay, so. I think that'll work when people get here from being in work too and all that sort of thing. It's just real time. I still have sawdust in my ears. So, with that, I would entertain a motion to adopt the Grand County Planning Commission 2026. So moved. Moved by Obi, seconded by Jerry. Favor? Super. Thank you very much, folks. I'm on my phone here, because I guess that's sawdust. All right. And so we're gonna move on to Planning Commission candidates interviews. Just a quick rundown of how this process works. Because we have never had in the 4 years that I've done this or talking to anybody, 13 candidates who come out and express interest in serving on the planning commission. Anecdotally, I think that speaks volumes to our community's recognition of the importance of volunteerism and participation. And so I'm really thrilled to see so many folks come out and express interest in serving on this board. Quickly how this process is gonna work. Normally, we have like 5 or 6 questions and a longer period of time because we only have 2 or 3 applicants and we have the time to go forward. But because the roster was so deep this year, we're going to be limiting interviews to 3 minutes. And we only have 2 questions. Why do you want to be a planning commissioner? And what will you bring to the commission? Those really get to the heart of the purpose of our volunteers. Andrew, go ahead.
I just, whenever you're ready, I can read the section of the bylaws.
Yeah.
This.
If you would, please.
Okay, so this is Article 4, vacancies, interviews, and voting. Vacancies. County staff shall notify the current commission of those members whose terms will expire at the end of the calendar year. In cases where a vacancy is created during the middle of a board member's term, county staff shall notify the commission as soon as practically possible. County staff shall post a notice of board vacancies, including midterm vacancies in a local newspaper record. Candidate interviews. The commission shall interview qualified candidates and provide recommendations to the county commission. At the start of each interview, candidates will be given 3 minutes to briefly introduce themselves and to provide relevant information to as background and experience. During the interview process, commissioners are encouraged to ask questions which verify candidates' experience and eligibility of meeting requirements of service. Commissioners shall ask the same questions of each candidate. Now, those 2 sentences kind of conflict with each other, so I think going on the safe side of saying we're asking the same questions of of everybody. Let's see, commissioners may ask the applicant additional clarifying questions if necessary. Again, we only have 3 minutes to get through everything. Voting, the commission shall vote upon the names of candidates in alphabetical order, which we have listed here. Each commissioner is entitled to 1 vote for each vacancy. So you each have 3 votes. And so what we'll do then, let's see, we can do written ballots if you want, but it still has to be all open. Everybody has to cast their ballots in open. Planning staff will tally the number of votes cast for each candidate and read this information back to the commission. Planning commission by motion will forward this recommendation, including any findings, to the county council. Should be county commission for consideration. And then either Tony or I will make a presentation to the county commission on this. And what we're expecting is that everybody will get forwarded on to the county commission, but with the votes. And so we're reprioritizing them from alphabetical to the ones with the most votes. And so, like I said, we'll just go around and we'll just be like, Mary, who's your 3? Tony, who's your 3? And Megan, who's your 3? Aaron? So anyway, that's what we'll do, and we'll just keep tally of that, who gets the most, and then they'll all be forwarded on. We have Dennis Brown has asked that his application be withdrawn, but will state in case he does come in a few minutes and say he wants to be back on, we'll follow and identify that when we get to him. And then we have 2 candidates, Scott Groening and Steve McClure, who weren't available to make it tonight. And we sent an email saying that they could answer these 2 questions and send us a video, and we haven't received anything back from them. But Scott did tell me that he wanted to make sure the planning commission knew that he was still interested, even though he's not here.
So, go ahead.
And just noting for you guys' deliberation and discussions, it has to be in public, it has to be open, you can't text, you can't communicate. I'd recommend focusing on the positive attributes of potential candidates. That's what you can speak to, but there's not a break. You don't get to text each other and talk about it. It all should be done open in public, and that's what all the candidates deserve and they're entitled to. And so just be mindful of that and be mindful of communicating with each other about potential applicants if there's a break or all during this evening. So just keeping that in mind. And then the votes again are public. We don't get to hide the votes. They'll be taken in a public and transparent manner. So just reminders.
Thank you, Stephen.
And I can read the 13, and you can read the 13, or
I think we'll
chance of
we'll call people up one at a time, in process wise, how we're gonna handle a list this large. I think you've each been given a list, or not a list, but 13 blank interview sheets. You guys can feel free to take notes and make comments for yourself, record keeping wise. Like, don't forget to put the interviewee's name on the top so you know who you're talking about. And then I think we'll go through and conduct all 13 interviews, and then, like Andrew suggested, we'll go just around at the straw poll. Each of us will elevate 3 of the interviewees, and then in order to keep things on track and for the purposes of open deliberation, if we have comments or justification, if we want to share our rationale for the 3 names that we elevate, I think each planning commissioner can have 4 minutes to justify, explain, say, I really liked this trait, or I thought this response to this question was really well put. And so we'll just, once the interviews are done, go around the table counterclockwise, and we'll each nominate 3 and have 4 minutes to explain our thinking. Does that sound good to everybody? Straw poll style? Yeah, all right.
Are these the only 2 questions we're gonna be asking?
These are the only 2 questions we have. Normally, we would have more, but
I
with
guess I kinda don't like that.
You said we're all.
normally we would have more, but we also it's 13 people, and if we had, 20 minutes on 13 people, we would be here until 1 o'clock. That's well, we also are doing it on the last meeting at the county, so doing our best.
And do you want to read off the 13 so they know, the candidates know which?
Yeah, so I guess for the record, the list of folks that have, and if I butcher anyone's name, please forgive me, I'm sorry, I've been breathing fumes all day, gasoline fumes all day. We have Shane Bartosh, Kevin Bowden, Dennis Brown has withdrawn, but he remains on the list. Randy Day, Scott Gurney, Mary Hoffine, Aaron Holland, Lynn Jackson, Sarah Kimmerly, Steve McClure, Scott McFarland, Samuel Newman, and Preston Paxman are the 13. With that, I would begin, we'll call people up. Interviewees can sit right here. It's important. State your name and then speak loudly. The microphone is in that little robot right there. Looks like something out of Star Wars. And so you want to make sure you project toward that as you guys answer questions. Any stuff from the board before we begin? But we had your finger on that.
It was only to say, I was thinking that we really couldn't go through all the questions that we had. The ones we've used in the past. These two are almost exactly the ones I thought of also for being important and getting through all of these people.
Yeah, there was,
That comes out of Sean, so.
yeah, there was some discussion of like, how do we get to the heart of the purpose of the interview without, listening to a dissertation. Yeah,
Probably I'm gonna choose not to vote.
that's fair. Mary, I respect that. Thank you. As for the record, as a candidate, Mary Hoffine, is not going to vote for or against anybody running against her. Good catch, man.
Very already asked.
Thank you. In that case, we'll get started. Mr. Bartosh, would you please come on up and have a seat? Yes,
I didn't
sir.
know if you wanted to go through the requirements.
Yeah, do we have?
I have them right here if you need them, but
Go ahead.
it might be
Sure.
pretty
Go
just
ahead.
to let everybody, make sure that everybody
Yeah.
does meet the requirements.
Yeah.
So the requirements, it's must be a Grand County resident.
Yep.
This is a 4-year appointment. They shall have the expertise required by law. They must have submitted an application to the commission office. They must agree to abide by the county's conflict of interest ordinance. No member may be a full or part-time employee of the district while serving the board. No person may be employed by an SSD as a full or part-time employee and may serve on the governing board of districts. And then a board member may not be compensated separately as a board member and as an employee for providing the same service.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
That
So,
was on each applicant, got that when they applied, that was on the form.
yeah. Super. In that case, Shane, Bartosh, I would have you come up and state your name for the record and we will start the clock once we read the questions. Don't see Mr. Bartosh here in the crowd, he isn't online. And this may come up, like we said, we had a very long list. We will still vote on folks who have not been able to conduct an interview. We will just consider the absence of an interview response in our criteria as we individually evaluate candidates. In that case, it would be Kevin Bowden is up next. This happens alphabetically. Mr. Bowden, please have a seat. So, Mr. Bowden, to keep things.
It's Bowden.
Bowden, thank you. Sorry, like I said, I'm gonna butcher some names. I'm gonna read off both questions to you because they're fairly short. And once I'm finished reading them off, I'll begin the clock and you can speak to these. So, why do you want to be a planning commissioner and what do you bring to the planning commission?
To the first question, I'm a 4th generation Moab resident or Grand County resident. I grew up in Castle Valley for most, when I was up till a teenager, then I moved into town. I lived in Denver for a year out of high school and then moved back to Grand County a year after that. Been here ever since. I've been in general construction that entire time, either working for a contractor or as a licensed contractor. I would like to just be on the commission to serve a civic duty and I lost my part here. The county's been a big part of my life, and I would like to play a small role in shaping the future of this county a little bit. I, not for any personal agenda, while I am a contractor, I'm not a developer. I want to see the county appoint people to the planning commission who aren't interested parties, no realtors, no developers. They can and will have their input during the planning process, but should not have a vote, in my opinion. And the second question, what will you bring to the commission? As I said, I was a contractor. I think just I've worked with like Benberg Construction through some of when they developed their subdivision and various projects throughout town. And so I think I could bring some of the, realistic assessment of what some of the planning and zoning decisions could bring to the building process and the development process. That's about all I have for you. I'm easy to work with. I'm a good listener, good communicator, I think, hard worker, so. Anyway, that's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Super. Let me figure out. Reset this guy here. Ron.
If you just press in the side, that wheel presses in,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just, that turns it off. But then you just tap that.
So,
If you press the side, and it'll turn back on, and then
Okay.
you just scroll it.
gotcha. Now it's just, there we go. One more click. Super. I'm figuring it out. I'm a millennial. I can do it. So, next up alphabetically is Mr. Dennis Brown, who I believe this application was withdrawn. I just want to make sure he's not in the room. Next is Mr. Randy Day. Randy, are you here? Yes, sir. Super, thank you very much. If you could just state your name for the microphone and then we'll get to thoughts there.
My name is Randy Day.
Super, thank you. And Mr. Day, why do you want to be planning commissioner? And what will you bring to the commission?
Well, to start with, why I want to be on the planning commission is I'm a vested citizen of this county and have been since 1972. I went to high school here, went to Utah State here, and have been here for a long time. I am a real estate broker and have been a developer in this valley for a number of years. I have been to numbers of planning and zoning meetings, and I've been to a lot of different angles from the other side of the table, bringing a proposal and trying to understand what it is that the planning commission has and what they don't have, and what I bring to the table and how that looks in that setting. Now, I want to serve on the planning commission. What I think I bring to the planning commission is all that experience. I have served on the Governor's Census Land Board for Gary Herbert. I have also served as president of the Utah Association of Realtors. I have also been on local boards for our golf course and other settings. I've coached in this community for a number of years, from grade school to high school. I got a good feel for the community, and I think I understand what it needs and how we need to get there. I have also been involved with the Ombudsman's Office of the state of Utah for about 9 years. And Brent Bateman and I were good friends. I've learned a ton of things about that, the private property rights versus public good. There's a lot of things that I can bring to the table in that setting. I am excited to do that. I want to serve. I think I have the capability, the time. I'm semi-retired. I still do a little real estate work. I don't do near what I used to. And if I were to be in a development setting, which I do not plan to do ever again in Grand County, ever, okay, I won't. If that did happen to me, I would recuse myself from any setting as such. With that being said, I think I bring a lot to it. I've seen it from so many different angles. I've watched so many people struggle through settings. I was asked numerous times to come and put my name in on this board by people from both sides of the ledger, the development side and the conservation side, a lot more on the development side, a few on the conservation side. There's a balance, and this board, I believe, can reach that balance. I believe that our P and Z as it is today has some issues that needs to be taken up, and I'm prepared to do that. I can bring a lot of help and a lot of other things through the association that I work with in order to do that. I can create grants that'll help us push those things forward to get our planning and zoning in a way that it's understandable, that it's an easy, open playbook. My experience in life has been mostly through sports. That's where I get it. That's where I get the thing of fairness. If that's a foul ball for me, it's a foul ball for you. I don't like anything that's arbitrary and can be used as such. Conditional use is arbitrary. It needs to be either in or out, figure it out. And I think we can do that. And that's what I want to bring to this board. That's what I think I can do. I know Mary Hoffine well and have for years. Respect her position, not always agreed with her, but I respect her and where she comes from. I will expect the same if I'm on this board, or any member that comes to the other side of the table. And I think that's what we owe our community. If we do not plan for change, if we do not plan for development, this town will shrink. We can't afford that. We put all our eggs in one basket. We need to make that basket work. And the Planning and Zoning Commission, in my opinion, how humble it might be, is there a great deal key to what's going to be happening. And we need to look at that and weigh all the pros and cons as to what we have. I thank you, I respect you and your time and what you do here, and I appreciate the opportunity to put my name in the hat. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Day. Alphabetically, next comes Scott Gurney. I don't think Scott is here, and I don't believe we received the video from him, so. Scott Gurney is on the roster without an interview, same as.
But he did want you to be aware that he is still interested.
Yeah. Mary Hoffine, you're up next. I think you'll be fine where you're at. As long as the owl can still hear you, that is, robot overlords are in charge. Mary, why do you want to be a planning commissioner and what do you bring to the planning commission?
My name is Mary Hoffine. I spent many years working as a zoning administrator developer coordinator, and I put my name in for the planning commission 2 years ago. I was asked to put up, somebody had asked me to put my name in, so I did. I thought I'd only last 2 years, but as everyone on the planning commission knows, everybody on the council knows, I want a land use code written. I need it written to make people understand that is the legal part of planning. Our planning commission does not really have any legislative power. We don't make any decisions. All the decisions are made by people who we elect. And in that process, one of the things the planning commission is required to do by state law is to help regulate and write a land use code. So we hire somebody to do the technical writing. We have to review that through our process. It doesn't, we recommend it to the county council, but we don't make those decisions. It still comes from the county council. But it's a very important document. And my main reason for wanting to stay on is so I can help get that process done. Like I said, I've been develop coordinator, zoning administrator, director, worked in the office all by myself for years. Every 90 days. And so I know the process, the procedure, I have knowledge of the county. Majority of the developments in the county right now have my name on it. I have my name and my fingerprints on every land use code, and general plan has been written since 1997 when Ludmer went in and the state took over and said planning departments and all you counties are going to have to start doing this kind of stuff. And that's when it went in, was 1996. The manager, or the director, whatever they is, the county at that point took me in and said, okay, Mary, we're going to let you be this person. So that's how I got into planning. That's where I started and been there ever since. I also know I have good knowledge of the building department. I got a certificate as a building inspector and have done some inspections. So that's where I am. What I do.
Thank you very much, Mary. That does bring it up real quick. I'll get there, don't worry. Up next is Mr. Aaron Holland. Aaron, are you? Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Name is Aaron Holland. Why I want to be on the planning commission is, other than the 10 years that I left for schooling and then working in civil engineering in Salt Lake City, I've lived in Moab my entire life. It's home for me and I care a lot about what the county looks like in the future. I want to see growth handled responsibly with long-term perspective. Growth that preserves Moab's character and quality of life for people who already live here, while still allowing thoughtful development that meets real community needs. The planning commission plays a key role in that process. I'm also especially interested in being involved in the rewrite of the land use code. I think it's important that the code is clear, predictable, and forward-thinking, ensuring it plans for future development and infrastructure without placing unnecessary pressure on housing costs or limiting reasonable opportunities. Between my civil engineering experience and general connection to Moab, I believe I bring a broad perspective that's both technical and deeply rooted in the community. So number two for what I will bring to the commission. First and foremost, I'll bring an unbiased community first perspective. My interest in serving isn't driven by my job, any outside influence. My interest is wanting what's best for the county and the people that are here. I take responsibility of applying the land use code fairly and consistency very seriously, and believe decisions to be made with a long-term, sustainable and balanced perspective of them. So I bring professional civil design and surveying experience, which gives me a practical understanding of infrastructure, stormwater issues, development constraints, and how planning decisions actually play out on the ground. That experience helps me ask informed questions, evaluate applications in a way that's realistic, thoughtful, and focused on long-term outcomes. I've developed positive, respectful working relationships with planning and zoning staff in both the city and county and with all other city and county agencies. I think that I value collaboration, competent leadership, and clear communication. At the same time, I have a lot of respect for local citizens, their values, their concerns, and their constructive input. I believe the Planning Commission does its best work when decisions are grounded in clear adopted policy, informed by technical understanding, and shaped by meaningful public participation. I appreciate the opportunity and look forward to providing a contribution.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Up next alphabetically, let me set this thing.
Can I just say while you're doing that, just for like, I'm not related to Mr. Jackson. I'm not related to any Jacksons other than my wife and kids that are west of the Mississippi. So I just want to make that clear because there's a lot of Jacksons here, but.
Quite a few Jacksons in Utah.
Yeah, but I'm not related to any of them.
Awesome. Mr. Jackson, Lynn, you're up next, if you would.
Well, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's good. Change
Just go
that.
with that.
Thanks, I'm Lynn Jackson. I appreciate the opportunity. Would Tony get his
Yeah.
clock started? So I've been here almost a lifetime, just 42 years. I moved here in 82. We were a mining town back then, a resource town, and so I've kind of had a front seat to watch all of these changes that have occurred here. It's been pretty phenomenal. I am a native Utahn, lived in Carbon County for a long time. I'm a geologist by background. I have no financial interest in building. I have no construction companies, no real estate development. So I bring a pretty open book in that regard. It's my experience, I've had a couple of things that I think are key. One, which is sort of indirectly related. I worked here for the Bureau of Land Management and Natural Resource Management of Southeast Utah for 32 years. And even though a lot of the focus of the county planning commission and the city, of course, is around where housing and development is, it also applies to the broader county. And so I bring a little bit of that. A lot of what we did at BLM was in fact broad zoning. This being a little bit different, I served a term as a Grant County, it was a council then, or commission now. And so that was in 2013 through 16. It was right as I think the housing was becoming a crunch, the affordable housing. It had been an issue, but it really seemed to have hit a crunch time. So we did things on a commission that looked at how do we increase the availability for housing, make it more affordable. One of the things I remember is we recognize that we've got the increased density. And so we did a few things along those to sort of start the ball rolling on creating affordable housing. I think it's the most critical need facing our community. I've raised 3 daughters here. 2 of them could not afford to live in Moab and have gone to Salt Lake. 1 lives here, and we were able to use the HASU sweat equity program to help get her into a house probably 12 or 15 years ago. So I've got some feel, built my own home in Moab. I've got a pretty good feel, I think, for what we need as a community, and my interest is in bringing that experience, that objectivity to the table to help with this future land use code. It's really critical. We're going to get off on that. It's going to be a lot of work. I'm like Randy. I'm semi-retired, so I have the time and energy to put into this, and it's going to be really critical. Going to set us in motion for what happens for, I don't know, next 10, 15, 20 years. It's very, very important. So I want to get back to the community. I'm probably, it's safe to say I'm fairly known around the community. I'm fairly vocal about things and have been. It's an interest I have in making sure we live in a good community. So this is an opportunity to maybe put the money where my mouth is, and to get in and help figure out our way through this solution. I think it's it's a combination of working together with the government and private industry, private sector. They both got to be at the table, and they both one can't work without the other. So yeah, in essence, my time is running out. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. All right, I'm gonna try and set this thing. Sweet, figuring it out, getting better every time. Up next is Miss Sarah Kimmerly. Did I say that?
Yep.
Super, thank you. Miss Kimmerly, why do you want to be a planning commissioner? And, oh, well, state your name.
So my name is Sarah Kimmerly.
And, what will you bring today?
Okay, so in my previous life, I was an English teacher. So I know that's not normally what you're looking for. And then I've been a stay-at-home mom for 25 years, but I have a husband who likes to start lots of businesses. So we've done construction, we've done a little bit of like development, just some really minor kind of subdivision kind of things. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't even know what a land use code was or a planning commission. But because of that involvement, I've had to confront, what is possible in a county. I am in Mary Hoffines Court. We need a land use code, and we need it really bad. We've needed it for at least, let's see, since 21. That's when I started noticing it. So that's been 4.5 years. I've done countless surveys. I've been to meetings, and we still don't have a document. So that's frustrating to me. And I would like to be part of helping make that happen. My kids are grown, my youngest 2 are in high school. So something that I have is time. I'm a good researcher, and I'll be honest, I think what I would bring to the commission is helpfulness. I'm a very helpful person. And having been on the side of like trying to bring a rezone application or something to the commission. What I would love to see the commission, the whole planning department is a little bit more like a customer service operation than a roadblock. And you know, someone wants to do a small project. I have friends who are too intimidated. The land use code is too overwhelming for them. Or they have a job and they just simply want to divide their property. But they've got to wade through the land use code, and we don't have Mary Hoffine in the office anymore to be explaining things like that. So, you know, I think we need a better customer service face. And so that's something I would love to help work on in our county. I mean, I see lots of problems. I think nobody applies who doesn't see problems to be solved. But good communication, working together and just generating ideas. Like I look at Governor Cox, you may or may not like him, but the man generates ideas. And I wish he looked at Grand County and said, hey, all of you other Utah counties, why don't you do it like they do it? Look, they're being innovative. They're trying something different. They're trying something new. So anyway, that's what I think I bring to the table. I'm a helpful person and I'm an idea generator and I've got lots of time to research. So thank you.
Thank you very much. 1 second, I'm gonna pause that. I've got to. Super. And next up alphabetically is Steve McClure. I do believe he wasn't able to make it and we do not have a video from him. Is that correct? All right. Okay, after McClure comes Mr. Scott McFarland. Scott, are you in the room? Hey, please come on up, state your name. And same 2 questions. Why do you want to be and what do you bring to the commission?
Great. My name is Scott McFarland. And I'm going off script. I'm sitting here and I'm looking around the room and I'm looking at all these people in here that have that welcomed me when I came into this community almost 30 years ago and helped me in one way or another. And I got to apologize to Mary. I know that so many times she wanted to shoot me, but she didn't. She restrained, and we always found a way to get through it. And I was able to walk out the door alive. So I just have a big thank you to a lot of people in this room. So I believe that good planning is a balance. It's a balancing act. You have to meet the needs with your resources and with your abilities and with a direction that your community wants you to go. Those kinds of things are always really, really hard to define. And that's why planning in particular can become so tricky. I'm very grateful for Mr. Jackson that he's taken this job. And I expect great things from him just based on his background. So if he does half the job here that he's done in the past, Grand County is going to be a lot better off. So we've got to pay attention to the places that we're lacking. We're lacking in affordable housing for our young, for our 20-something-year-olds. There's no way they can buy a house in this community. We've got to come up with a solution to that. We all know, we're all really familiar with the Help You Build program. So many of the people that now are in their 30s and 40s and have families got their start in that Help You Build program. I don't even know how many, Mary probably knows, but I don't know how many homes got built under that program, but it was substantial. Lots of neighborhoods exist in this community because of that program. So programs similar like that, we need to revitalize those. And I'm not exactly sure what's lacking and why those aren't as strong as they used to be. Probably qualified buyers because of cost of land and cost of materials, labor. Everything's gone up so much that it's become a real challenge for a community. But I see that that's where we're extremely out of balance. I think that our senior citizens are doing pretty good. I hope so. I think that they've got they've got a house and they've got a lifestyle that they love and they don't want to see change. And you got to respect that. We've got to take care of the people that have been here before us. We've got to take extra care of the people that are coming behind us and making sure that we're leaving a pathway that they can follow, that they can be successful. So that's about all I have to say about that.
Super, thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Ryan, better job. Sometimes we backslide. It's magical. Super. After that is Mr. Sam Newman. Sam, you come on up. Once you state your name, you know the drill. Why do you want to be a planning commissioner and what do you bring to it?
My name's Sam Newman. Look at my notes here. I've been in Moab about 10 years. Well, let's see, why do I want to be on planning commission? I've been in Moab about 10 years. I'm looking to start a family here. I really like this town. It's been a wonderful place to me. And I care deeply about the fate of the place that I live. And this coming year seems to be a big important year of writing land use code, as everyone else has mentioned. And so I'm interested in being involved in that. So what do I bring? I don't bring a political or a real estate interest. I am an employee of the Housing Authority of Southeastern Utah. I am a construction supervisor for the self-help program that Lynn mentioned, built his daughter house, and I work out at Arroyo Crossing. I've spent my adult life in the construction industry working on a variety of projects, both repurposing old houses into new things or fixing them up or building apartments or working on commercial spaces, and now working in affordable housing. And I've had some on the ground experience watching how plans turn into realities and then ultimately affect the lives of the people who live there. And, observing, the differences between what people thought they were getting versus what the community actually ends up like with, there's a lot of idealism goes into plans and then sometimes it's different when they're built. And I believe that the built environment, both in a micro level in your house and also in a macro level in an entire town, really has a big role in shaping, how the quality of people's lives. And I believe ultimately that people pretty much want the same thing. I think they want dignified, safe, and consistent places to unfold their lives. And land use code is something that underpins that. And so my interest in being a part of writing land use code is that I believe government's job is not to act as a business or to streamline and get out of the way, but to proactively shape and temper the community and to protect its most vulnerable members. Also, similar to what Kevin said, I think I have a pretty good understanding of building and construction feasibility and scale and what a realistic or an unrealistic project is. And I've spent a lot of time reading and interpreting building code, and I believe that that would probably have some bearing on reading and interpreting and thinking about technical land use codes. So thank you for your time.
Yeah.
And thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Sam. Yeah. All right, finally, we have Mr. Preston Paxman. Preston, would you please come up and state your name, and I'll get this clock reset for you.
I'm Preston Paxman. I wanted to be on this planning zoning because I think it's very important to schedule and plan things out. I've told people for years there's a reason we don't know the town of Animas. And that's because Animas refused to let somebody build a railroad. And so the railroad was built, and now we have Durango and no Animas. I think we have to plan, and I think you have to schedule. And I have to think you have to look forward to the future and know what's going on. I've lived in Moab just a short time. I've been in business here since 1978. So just a little while. And I really feel like I needed to give to the community. I've retired several years ago. And my wife says it's time to get out of the house and do something for the community. So I'm here, and I'd really like to be on it. I graduated from college with an engineering degree. I did a lot of development up north. So I am a land developer. I'm also a licensed contractor, a licensed electrician, a licensed plumber, and about a zillion others. I have a water degree. I have a sewer degree. So I have a few degrees that would go to help this area. I've run a water plant, run a sewer plant. So in my lifetime, I've had a lot of different jobs, done a lot of different things. And I think it's time for me to help this community if I can. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick.
Yeah. By the way, we'll tell you that I'm impressed with the people that have applied. You have an amazing selection here of people, so lots of luck. Good. They're good.
Thank you, Preston. All right, and so that is the end of the folks who have not been nominated, or I should say have been made themselves available for consideration as future planning and zoning advisory board members. Just a quick reminder of the way the straw polling works. We're gonna go around the table counterclockwise. Stephen, a thought just popped into my mind, maybe you could advise me. It very recently, county commission members, Mr. Martinez and Ms. Sabine are now deliberating members of the advisory board. Do they have a vote at this time? No. Okay.
One other thing I was gonna ask is to check if the people that weren't able to appear here, just to make sure in the email queue, if they've sent in a video or anything. That way, if the chair.
Might as well. Yeah.
Could we discuss one person at a time? Like open discussion? Cause if somebody doesn't have a comment. Or like, does that make sense? Like kind of like rapid fire a little bit?
I don't know how much time we have.
I think it would make sense if we're discussing one person at a time.
Do you mean to vote on like candidates?
Not just the discussion part, I think.
Is that consistent with bylaws, do you guys think? I mean, I know that's not what the way we stated we would do it at the outset of the meeting, but. I don't necessarily have a problem with that.
It's just easier to have like one person's sheet up as opposed to like, oh, we're flipping to the next person. Yeah.
You guys can have, and this is your guys' preference, you guys can have conversations about the individual folks. One of the things that's really hard to do is, commissioners are used to making the really, really hard, awkward decisions in a public sphere in front of everybody else. One of the tips that I encourage people to think of are the positive aspects of the people. You could run through and talk about individuals and say, hey, look, here are the people that applied, here are the people that didn't apply. If you're gonna go through any, I'd recommend going through all. That way it's a fair, kind of a fair practice. And then the one thing that, again, if you're going to have kind of silent deliberation or thoughts, to do it in this room, in front of everybody else, recorded, but I don't see a problem. One thing is maybe wait to have kind of a decision on who you want to have and just say, hey, reserving opinions, go through everybody, talk about some of the positive aspects of them, and then circle back through and make your guys' votes.
Thanks, Stephen. That's good advice. And Laura, because we do have a little bit of time, that did go a little bit faster. trying to divide 30 by 10 roughly. I think what if we went down the list alphabetically and took 3 minutes as an entire body, not 3 minutes individually, but if we just 3 minutes to sort of like share the important couple bullets that we had off of our sheets to sort of like refresh ourselves. Yeah, Obi,
Question, are we discussing people only who were here to talk? Or are
Yes.
we discussing all people who we are voting on?
interviewees only. I would not deign to,
I didn't receive any videos.
yeah, if we have not, my thinking.
Yep.
And Stephen, set me straight, my thinking is that it would, we want to only be discussing the content of the interview which we received and not speak to any like previously known aspects of a person's character who is not here.
Sure. Well, I don't know what was included on the original packets for the individuals that are not here. The names are going to be forwarded on to the commission. If there's not much there, then there might not be much of an analysis that you can do based on those individuals. But that's not to say that no one could give a vote to somebody that isn't here.
Of course, I just mean for the sake of
Time.
transparency, time and completeness, that we discuss the interviews which we have heard and not the. You guys follow me?
But
Yes.
then are we still gonna do a straw poll vote?
Yes, yeah,
And
once
just
we,
take like the top three,
We'll-
how,
when we're done with our chat. We will go around and each of the planning commissioners will have the opportunity to elevate 3 of these 13 candidates on, and Andrew will keep a tally of which candidates receive how many.
Tony, I have one request. When we're done with our discussion, I'd appreciate a minute or two just to gather my thoughts before we do that.
Yeah, we can take a couple minute break to receive our dust.
Just due to the number of applicants here.
Yeah, and Lynn, I did see your hand, but it's not at a public hearing, so I'm sorry.
understand.
Yeah.
Can I make a comment though?
No,
I
you can't.
I think
Lynn.
we should all leave and let you guys feel more comfortable having your conversation.
I
You don't have to, but I'm just saying.
I appreciate the suggestion, but I think without this turning into the crisis of democracy, we will just keep everyone here in the room.
Can
And
some of us leave?
you're a free citizen. You can choose to come and go as you please. But this is one of those things where this comes up, just a quick anecdote, because this is the first time several of us on this board have had to go through the like voting for people thing. It's tough. It's political. We work for the government. This is the hard part of the job. And I'm going to encourage us to be brave and conduct our civic responsibilities completely and ethically, right?
Question real quick. You did say a break, and I believe that Stephen mentioned at the beginning that there should not, that should be no break. in between.
Yeah, I didn't mean a complete adjournment. We'll just have like a moment of silence.
Bring that in. Yeah.
Yeah, we won't adjourn the meeting. They need to shuffle papers.
And Tony,
Okay, what?
only to mention, of course, we're on YouTube and record that. So it's okay. I don't mind saying anything I'm gonna say with all the people in the
Yes.
room, but just remember that
Yes.
for those who do worry.
All right, and so I've cycled through my notes there. I'll get it kicked off and sort of do my best to lead by example. We did not have an interview received from Mr. Shane Bartosh, so I don't really have much to say there. Moving down the list to Mr. Kevin Bowden. The first thing that impressed me about him, I actually wrote it in both question 1 and question 2, was his emphasis on civic duty and ethics. He led with that right out of the gate. And I think that those are traits that really shine and become an asset on this board when we reach the really kind of like big amorphous, it's not lined out clear in the land use code types of public hearings. That was what really impressed me about Mr. Bowden. And I think Yeah, if I had to pick any value about any candidate that I think is the most important, civic duty and ethics are why I would want anybody to be on this. Eric?
Yeah, I'll just second that.
Super. Megan, we don't need to really need to go around the table, you can just, we've got about 2 minutes 30 left for discussion on Mr. Bowden, so.
Are we allowed to deliberate? Are we allowed, and you can say no. that's
My,
fine.
my understanding of, the
know what I'm
guidance that we received was that the commissioners are allowed to deliberate, but not vote. Correct.
May I make a statement? I was just impressed with the easy to work with and a good listener and I'll I say this a lot, but I've always been so impressed by this commission and how well you guys work together. And I know that you come from a variety of political backgrounds and I actually can never really parse that out. So I really want to maintain that atmosphere and so I appreciated that.
I also had your hard worker, gets along, good communicator. And it's always nice to have somebody that's in construction, just, it's a nice thing to have.
That's one thing I noted as well, will be contractor background and the understanding of the impact of planning and zoning decisions. I thought was a good positive from Mr. Bowden. It's not good.
Yeah, I think the learning curve is steep, so if you can kind of bring that down with some experience on zoning, I think that's really.
I
Generally,
guess I'll add something. So how I'm thinking this, I would like to have people that are like good sparring partners with me, so I will, as I'm looking through these, people that I don't necessarily agree with. I'm not necessarily looking for like consensus, this is how I'm looking on it. So that would be kind of like, I'd like to hear how other people like view that, what traits they're looking for. So I thought Kevin kind of was in alignment with how I see things as well.
And actually, so we're replacing 3 seats and we might want to be thinking about how to keep this diverse. And so is your seat up?
No, it's you, Mary, and
Okay.
Tony.
Okay, me, Mary and Tony. Okay. So yeah, you bring a contracting experience. And yeah, just, that's kind of what I'm thinking about.
diversity of experience is valuable. Moving next, again, Mr. Dennis Brown has withdrawn his application to the commission. And being that he did not come here from, to conduct an interview, I presume that he's serious, about that. Up next alphabetically was, Mr. Randy Day. I thought, I've never actually met you, Randy, and shook your hand and sat next to you before, but I know that I've seen your name on projects come through here. And one of the things that I wrote down during your interview was that having longtime county residents who have interacted and interfaced with the land use code and the planning commission before really speaks volumes. And speaking to Laura Long's comment about the learning curve with planning and zoning, having someone who's done these projects and kind of like knows where the speed bumps are on the block, literally and figuratively, is admirable trait. So that was some of the, and also litany of other board experiments. The governor's land use board is a prestigious place to work. Like that's Major League Baseball. So those folks know what they're talking about. Yeah.
I think it's cool that he mentioned he was asked to put his hat in the ring. Cause that's a sign that the community sees this person as a leader and says, we want your voice to be heard on these boards to kind of run the community. So I like that.
I agree greatly with him about conditional uses should be in or out.
No, that was,
I'm not sure it's 100%, but it's certainly very high on my priority list.
Yeah.
I think the ombudsman's office relationship is a huge contribution that could be a wealth of information at this table, especially in this condition of our land use code situation. Because even with our ombudsman's training that we have had, we've already said we wanted to do another one. To have that would be a huge asset.
Yes.
That stood out to me. The grant comment stood out to me. Creating balance is something that we all can agree needs to be a priority, and I think we all do a good job of that at this table, but that doesn't mean we've been able to execute it the way we want to in the community.
The best laid plans of my son.
I missed what he said he would recuse himself on.
Oh, if he had any sorts of like, you know, developments or interests with his, like much the way I recuse myself when state business comes in front of. the
Yeah.
board, similar.
I didn't remember specifically what, I just wrote he would
It was-
recuse himself.
It was a hypothetical,
Oh.
like if there were
Okay.
any,
Okay.
you know.
And I also like the way that, I think he was the only one that actually put it in these words, but he said an understanding of the relationship between the private and the public side.
Mhm.
I thought that was good input from him.
But not that, guess I'll say this, you know, as ex parte or whatever. I had worked for Randy on projects like a few years ago. I know Randy. I absolutely disagree with him on most things. And I would welcome him to like, just verbally hash it out, but like, you know, he does it with a smile on his face. He has come to previous planning things, workshops that we've had and been participatory. And, you know, I think having, in general, you know, we talked about, oh, having a contractor on, I don't, other than Jerry, I don't know if we've had like a developer on here, and I've always thought that's a good perspective to have on this commission, but I will put it like that.
Just a point of clarification, I'm not a developer.
But you are an engineer.
I'm an engineer.
Okay.
I built a few of my own homes.
Right, that's great.
We did have Steve Evers.
Oh, yeah, that's,
Dude, that was
yeah,
gonna.
and so I feel like
For
we're
the
missing
record.
that, we are missing that,
The last,
aspect.
the last planning commission member who was involved and had a stake in real estate development was Steve Evers. I believe he left in 2023.
Yeah.
I was on for a little bit with this.
Man,
I overheard. Yeah, that's right. Time flies.
Yeah, it sure does, doesn't it? We did not have any video interview from Scott Gurney or Steve McClure. And since we got to that, no interview conducted. I wanted to ask Andrew, of course, we will, when our deliberation, quick like sidebar. Once we've deliberated and once we've all elevated 3 candidates, if Mr. Gurney or Mr. McClure do send a video interview after this meeting, would that get included in the county commission agenda? With the caveat like no vote, I just wanted to make, I want to make it clear how that works.
I think the understanding was today was the day to do that process.
So-
I think the difficulty is somebody could watch the meeting and then give the world's greatest interview with the information that they have here.
Yeah,
I think everybody was on notice when Andrew and I talked earlier today. I encouraged him to reach out to them to document, hey, please send in your video.
Yep.
In my mind, somebody could take the 12 minutes that it takes to make a 3-minute video and send it on, or find 3 minutes between 4:30 and 5:30 and send it on.
I completely agree with you, Stephen. I just want that spoke into the record to make sure that everybody knows we won't be including any interviews we receive here post fact after this meeting.
But everybody's name except for Mr. Brown.
Will be forwarded on.
Everybody else.
Everybody's name, I don't know, you know. All right, so that was the one thing that Scott Broney's subject brought up for me. Next is our esteemed colleague, Mary Hoffline. I'll start. Mary is the vice chair of the planning commission right now. And I definitely could not do this job without her. I'm dead serious. She remembers everything. She knows exactly what the land use code says. She reminds me of what I'm supposed to be doing every 5 minutes. I do not sit immediately next to her on the corner of this table accidentally. She is kicking me in the shin constantly, reminding me that I'm screwing it up and I need to get it back on track. So, That's-
Against open meeting, then I could kick it.
So that's really all I have to say about Mary Hoffline. I can't imagine a more experienced or qualified candidate for that role. Obi and Venture.
Only that, I mean, Mary said it, was here really when the planning department started, basically, and she has written much of the land use code, so she understands it deeply in its historical context. And as she says, has been a part of every general plan that we've had. So it's just, it's an amazing font of knowledge, and she is really good of saying, look, we've got the land use code, the future land use map, and the general plan, and this is how we make decisions. And that is really, really important. This is, yes, I guess you can say it's partly politics, but my goodness gracious, what you're supposed to do is administer these things fairly to everybody.
Right.
That's what our job is.
Yeah.
And I think she does a great job of it.
For the record,
Yeah.
my passing comment I made earlier about things being political was in reference specifically to the selection and nomination of planning commission members from our community, not in the way that we make land use decisions.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, last time Mary ran, I did not vote for her. Her serving with her, I realized how much institutional knowledge she has. I have never had, like, I hope that I could one day, like, change her mind. She has changed my mind. I would view that as probably like a great achievement if I could do that. That being said, like, I rarely align with her votes, but she's just definitely made me think about certain things in the process of things. So.
Sure.
I can't speak highly enough of her institutional knowledge, her work ethic. You know, when I ran into Mel, she was running, we were at some event when she was running for county commission, and I said, we just need people that work hard. And she works super hard. You know, we don't align, but she's an extremely hard worker, and that's what I asked for. And that's Mary. She comes with all these notes and all these tabs, and she's ready to flip tabs, and it's like, that's really important.
So we're about at time, but I'll let Jerry wrap it up and.
Just one short comment, and that is that I'm just incredibly appreciative of Mary volunteering some of her time on this commission after all of those years in the planning department. I think that just shows the great service to the community.
Yeah. When I retire, I will not be on the river. Up next is Mr. Aaron Holland. I thought Mr. Holland's checked a lot of boxes, specifically with his role as a civil engineer and his surveying experience. A lot of times, one of the biggest humps for me to like, I can't really digest an idea until I've seen like really good civil plans and the plats recorded. And I know geographically where we're talking about, and I can see the lot lines and I can see the setbacks. And then I actually can digest the proposal. And I think having someone who can digest and interpret those materials quickly really like gets us to a resolution and a decision faster. So I think that's a very valuable trait.
What I would say with Aaron, he had a great great command of rhetoric. I feel like he explained his things well, except the thing he said he was like pro-local, and I didn't know what local. Like, I kind of was like, couldn't really determine that angle. And I was like, okay, like he explained things very well and had a great process. And it was like, here's somebody who has great rhetoric skills, but I wasn't so sure, like, what that meant. Okay.
Some of the keywords that I heard when he was talking, that he values the citizens and public participation. I think that kind of goes, it's a little underrated, like getting people to come to citizens to be heard. That's a hard thing to do. And then he values collaboration. And then, yeah, I think the technical knowledge of surveying and stormwater and stuff like that is valuable here.
Other input?
What stood out to me with Aaron was the way he talked about growth being handled responsibly, and I think that is super important again, at this table specifically.
I made that note too about thinking
Yeah.
of long-term outcomes.
Yes,
Same,
Yeah.
yeah. and
mindful development.
He also specifically said that he has experience seeing how planning plays out in practical terms, and I thought that was.
Yeah.
Really good. Yeah, so.
Stuff. Up next, we have, Mr. Lynn Jackson. I will, let you folks know that I serve on a couple other boards with Mr. Jackson. And his, font of knowledge when it comes to land use administration and the civic processes of land use planning, not just at the county level, but also at the state and federal level. That was my angle when I came to volunteer on the planning commission, was like, I'm not actually a city planner or a municipal planner, I'm a natural resources planner. I think about, across county lines, broader scope. And I think that's a very valuable skill set. If I can pat myself on the back a little bit, that, the art and nuance of planning isn't just restricted to the land use code and to municipal planning, but there's more to it than that. We don't exist in a vacuum down here, no matter how much it feels like it in December.
There were a couple things I noted on Lynn that I think are assets. One is the Grand County Commission experience. He also was one of the few that mentioned that increased density is the way we get affordable housing, and he mentioned the criticality of affordable housing and the impact that had on his family directly too. So.
Yeah, I think that's important. Like, that is very, very important. I would say more density without regulation might cause more problems in the county. But I do totally 100% agree with everyone who says, how do we make this place more affordable? Like, that is something we can both strive for.
Sure, common ground there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dallas, I will say just quickly on Lynn. Lynn and I are, of course, actually probably folks who disagree politically a lot, but he brings some vast experience and the experience of being on the county commission. And that's a very, very important thing. So he's, one of these people that I think is qualified for this job on the basis of kind of experience and knowledge. So.
I would like to, sorry.
Oh, no, you first.
So how I'm looking at this too is I would, as long as having good sparring partners, I'd also like to have, I'm looking at diversity of age in my decision as well. We've got, I think Lynn, definitely.
Yes. Be careful, age is a protected class.
Oh, okay, well. Okay. I'm not talking about.
No, you're fine. You haven't mentioned a preference for age. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
Tread lightly.
Different positions in life, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm always putting my.
Perspectives, I think.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we're not that damn protected.
Yeah. Anyways,
Steve
in
and I
looking
just
at
had
my
a
vote
30-minute conversation.
as a holistic thing about which, like someone over here, like, where am I, like, if I got the 3 votes, which ones am I gonna put it on? That's how I'm kind of like, we've got the leader of the Republican Party, like, that's good, we've got somebody that's got a lot of experience.
Council is kind of.
Yes, I'm definitely looking at the fact that a former commissioner who gets Grand County, like how commissions function, how governments function. When I came to the board, I had no clue. We're advisory, like we don't do, like, I thought I was gonna be doing building codes, so. That's kind of.
And you already have somebody as old as me on.
All right. we're gonna keep it moving along, yeah, went around a little bit. But next up was Miss Kimberly. The thing, Miss Kimberly's interview was unique, and she's the only person who mentioned, I think, a very high value for serving on the planning commission, and that was the availability of time and the ability, dedication to do the homework and study it in her off time. That is the number one thing I struggle with, is simply like finding the time to read the agenda packet, even 15 minutes before the meeting starts. Folks, I think I don't think there is an amount. I don't think there's an issue that comes to this body that cannot be properly understood, given the enough time and dedication on part of the planning commissioner, regardless of their background. You can have 3 degrees in planning and zoning, but if you don't have the time to study the site-specific and individual topic you're going to be talking about, you're not going to be making good decisions about that individual topic. And so that really impressed me, and Sarah was the only person who mentioned the availability of her time and the amount of time she would be able to dedicate to this body, which impressed me a lot. Yeah.
I related to Sarah a lot, being someone who sat here last December interviewing, because I know that there are people who want to do things in this community who don't do it because they feel they need backgrounds and degrees and everything else. The fact that she has familiarized herself with the land use update through her husband's project. She sees the frustration on that side, similar to what Kevin said, similar to what Aaron said. Everyone has talked about their frustrations with the land use and how it works with planning, but she's proactively wanting to be part of the solution. And when she said nobody applies who doesn't want to help solve problems, that spoke volumes to me. Being a stay-at-home mom with her kids and everything else, like, that tells me that she has drive to want to make a difference on this board. And seeing the planning and zoning as customer service based rather than a roadblock, that also stuck with me, because I hear a lot of people talk about planning and zoning being a roadblock, and I don't think it's intentional, but I think that's something that's been created over the years. And again, to have someone be brave enough to say that out loud at a table where they know no one and know nothing, I commend her for her statements in her interview. I thought she did great.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of that. I think she mentioned that there are problems and it is overwhelming for a regular citizen to kind of like understand what the problem is to begin with and then how to solve it. And so I think I understand what she means by being a customer service. I'm not sure I would use the customer service term because it's like government really isn't a business, but like that idea of taking what we're doing here and going out into the community and kind of like teaching your friends of like how this stuff works. Yeah, I think that's really valuable.
Steve McClure did not have a video. Next we had Scott McFarland. Scott was one of the folks who mentioned affordable housing for young people specifically. I think we kind of throw around affordable housing a lot, but it really is like affordable housing for young people who live here, want to stay here, start families here. A second home can be affordable if it's cheap. Doesn't make it qualify affordable housing, right? So that nuance spoke to me.
I liked when he talked about balance in planning, which I think is this very difficult thing. You have to worry about the people who are here and the people who are moving here. When you're trying to do a legislative decision or something like a planning and land use code, you've got to think about all of it. And some of those things are tough to balance because they can infringe on each other. So I really love that.
I wrote that down too. And meeting the needs with the resources that we have and the direction of the community needs too. I think that was good, and revitalizing programs that worked, like I moved here through self-help housing. I will tell everyone that every single day, because that is the only reason that I was able to move here from Monticello after commuting for 5 years. We do have programs that work. We have programs that need improvement, but we also have tools available to us. It's getting the right people to have the right conversations and take the initiative to make it happen too. But acknowledging that those things need revitalized or revisited or something is important, because if it works, we can continue to have it.
There were a couple things I noted from Scott too. One, just like OV, I noted that he talked about a balance between needs and resources. We have a lot of needs and not a lot of resources. Good comment. He was actively involved in the build program some time ago. And he also mentioned respecting the people and the things that are in the community today. And I thought that was a good comment too.
Super.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Samuel Newman. I always need to remind myself, one of my employees is named Samuel Newman, but the same guy. There's a couple in town, so anyway. Now, Samuel mentioned that he's a HASU employee and he works down at Arroyo Crossing. And as a builder, his awareness of the building code. We had a couple, design build contractor from engineering all the way over to hammer swinging folks apply. And I thought, what made Samuel Newman stand out in the design build cadre of planning commission applicants is that he seems to have the most experience with effective affordable housing projects. Working at Arroyo Crossing and working for HASU specifically, I think gives really rare insight into, can anyone point at a more successful affordable housing project than Arroyo Crossing in the last 10 years?
That's it.
In the last 20 years, right?
Ever.
So,
I think the one Megan's in was pretty successful, but that was
Yeah, of
not the
course.
scale of.
well, I don't know if you're not.
No,
Similar.
it was out at Tierra del Sol. It was before they did the land trust.
Right. So my point is, experience with the affordable housing sector specifically is highly valued.
I think Sam will be, for my decision, a good counterweight, in terms of like more, more deed restrictions, more, swing towards the affordability, solutions through, that kind of like density incentives, bonus incentives, rather than a private property incentive. So that would be that's gonna be like my counterweight to the other side of what I'm thinking about. And then, of course, HASU is being definitely like, I see him out there at Arroyo working, definitely has his finger on, is close to the pulse of, housing task force and that stuff.
Super. And finally, we have Preston Paxman. Preston has the most experience by year count, working and living in Grand County. I think he was very well spoken. And he also listed off like every possible, ran a sewer plant, licensed engineer, worked as a contractor, worked in development. The diversity of experience really counts, because I hear at the planning commission, we wear a lot of different hats. And I've said that about a couple of candidates so far. Gosh, that's 13 is quite a long list. But having the training in multiple fields like that allows you to code switch from thinking about one thing into thinking about another issue pretty quickly. And code switching at that pace is gonna help keep things straight. So that's definitely one bonus to what I think Preston brought to the table.
Brian, is Preston still on the list board?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and so I think that's quite valuable, and he's been on that board for quite some time. Just because I do think development eventually will come down to water. And so I think understanding that correlation is important.
Well, folks, that was our full list. And so at this point, I know some folks, I'm gonna take a quick minute just to like address the audience. We're running a little bit late, guys. I know some folks walked in for 6 o'clock. Citizens to be heard. We're gonna finish up this order of business, vote on future planning commission candidates, and then I'm gonna revisit the agenda and move some things up. So folks who are waiting here don't need to like wait around for until 9 o'clock at night. But let's go around. Each planning commissioner, as a reminder, will nominate 3 candidates. Andrew is going to tally those up. And as order of process, Andrew, once we have all nominated our candidates and the tally is complete, would you read off a ranked list, and then we will entertain a motion to forward or advance that recommendation onto the county commission. Sound good? I'll start off and we'll just go clockwise. I would like to nominate Mary Hoffine, Samuel Newman, Samuel Newman, and Randy Day to the planning commission for the term beginning in 2026. Hoffine, Newman, and Day.
Next.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I would like to nominate Samuel Newman, Lynn Jackson, and Mary Hoffine.
I would like to nominate Randy Day, Sarah Kimberly, and Scott McFarland.
Guess it's me now.
There.
You're sitting up at the big table.
All good. I would like to nominate Mary Hoffing, Aaron Holland, and Samuel Newman.
Now it's O'Brien's turn and he's really chagrined. Hofine, Jackson, and Newman.
And for me, Mary Hoffine, Lynn Jackson, and Scott McFarland.
And Marlon, and just as a reminder, Mary recused herself and left for that voting, so because she's a candidate. Give Aaron a Jack.
I'm good.
What were the tallies there?
So, Mary had 5. Samuel Newman had 4. Lynn Jackson had 3. Scott McFarland and Randy Day both had 2. Aaron Holland and Sarah both had 1.
Thank you. At this point, I will entertain a motion to recommend that ranked choice to the Grant County Commission for consideration during their next county meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Jerry. Seconded by Obi. All in favor? Everybody like the tally? All right, motion passes.
That Mary.
What's the second that? I'm sorry.
Motion by Jerry, seconded by Obi, and then
Mary.
Mary didn't vote.
She didn't vote.
yeah,
I just want to make sure that was the, no.
and motion passes not unanimously.
601.
May I have a request?
Yes.
Since we're heading into a long discussion here. Like
I'm-
what I won't outlast
I'm
the
gonna start to talk about it.
discussion.
Okay. So, after that, the next order of general business was the Lavina subdivision rezone. But, we also have a public hearing. And it's also 6 o'clock and we're due to have an at-large citizens to be heard. And so I'm gonna call the audible, and then move the at-large citizens to be heard and the public meeting for the non-motorized trails master plan ahead. And then when we'll go back to general business and get to Lavina subdivision at the end. That sound, anybody object to that? Super, all right, at the time of 6:04, I'm going to open public comments not related to the non-motorized trails master plan. Anybody else in here working for that? Nope, all right. No one else online, so now we will 6:05 on my watch, open the public hearing for the non-motorized trails master plan by GCAT. Katie, you can come up and sit here if you'd like.
Presentation.
We do have a presentation.
Need a little IT.
That's, Lisa can help you out with that. Maybe.
Usually a little bit of warning.
I need a restroom.
Sure, let's take 5
Perfect.
for, all day of your IT. We'll re-adjourn. We'll re-adjourn there.
No, I'm good, actually. Oh, there we go.
All right. Everybody got that right? 6:10.
6:10, okay, so thanks.
Oh, get around later. You get to.
We
Have you
have-
seen my sons?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, man, I'm having the worst.
Oh,
The worst.
that was just now, but. When we come back, we kind of just, everybody needed a piece, so we'll just leave it at that. in
Okay.
5 minutes.
So they're gonna-
You got thrown under the technology. You're making
I
it.
know.
Yeah, you got it. It'll be like, give us 10, 15 minutes. Yeah.
It was innocent,
Yeah, you
but
can-
family.
Yeah, just be moving across the road.
Yeah.
Really, just. Sorry, public comments are. Once we hear the presentation. No, it's public. Has to- oh, shares in the public comment. Here.
On another note, geotech starts Wednesday on.
No way.
They got like thumpers down there or? Well, they gotta check the soil, so they're
Right,
drilling
right.
the soil.
Okay, they're doing boreholes.
Yeah.
All right, that's great. That's great.
I
So going to they drop a song, this like.
Yep.
And then it like clicks and they map something.
Yeah.
No, we'll see, man. That's rad though. I didn't know that they were gonna even try the civilization.
I'd like to know. Okay. So I think these, you know.
Yes.
I guess, you know, it should have been true diversity of viewpoints instead of. I see five like. With we are. So we. I've been reading this audio. How to win every guy. How to win every size.
Okay. Oh, wow. It actually hoops.
There's the owl, yeah.
I never heard that before. I wanted one, so I had to use getting spots on it. That's all that, sugar boost. I love harass your.
Yeah.
All right.
Seems really satisfying. Right.
Can I have it now?
Yes.
I will do. Okay.
I might go. If that's.
I've been feeling like I'm like just barely making it, so. Yeah. That traveling, it'll get you every time. Getting all those cuties out there in the.
Another round of video,
Yeah, there you go, cool.
Yeah, if you're okay with that.
For what?
I go.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna start. I just texted the kids and told them it's gonna be another Gilbert. It's late.
My son lives in Curry.
I was gonna say if not, I'll just-
Oh,
I see, yeah.
I bet you. Yeah, it's too cold to snow.
He's over his son's face.
Yeah, okay, so now, okay. So now let's.
You look at the 10-day.
It says the meeting is held on December 23rd.
Goes up with the snow, that's when it goes down.
It says the meeting is scheduled for Monday, December 23rd.
This is, of course, maybe a little bit.
So
Or is it? been a long
there is a
time?
meeting that's called one-time event.
Yeah.
And 12.
That's 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So that was at 6.
That's the meeting.
I
think so I typed it in, yeah, it just, but then it wanted me to add a
We
password.
work north of Fairbanks,
Okay,
around
good.
6 hours.
This one is working, but it's not.
And
They
the
didn't
company
correct
that
them.
owned the place in the also
Okay,
owns
so
one of the regional airlines in Fairbanks. So he's doing.
then on the one-time event, I've got the meeting ID.
So basically.
Yeah. Well, I hope you wear gloves to go there.
It has never been cold since he was he'd go outside and freezing cold.
Yeah, one of our two boys used to walk out in the snow there.
So that's kind of like.
Not me either.
Walk outside.
Even in the winter sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I was out on both, when clearing my buddy's
Oh, yeah.
private airstrip, it was a
That's a big
moment, sand like there. And it was came over griller, we're just knocking down the papers and stuff.
Yeah, this is.
And I'm out there running a chainsaw, sure, in
9
the middle of December,
Wow.
yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I cut down my Christmas tree.
Oh,
angled
yes.
snow. That's not. No, I went, well, I wasn't chilling.
What do you got to do? So we go to. We go to. And. They have.
That looks like.
That's why it was a really big deal. Okay, yeah, I work with Evan, who organizes something across, he was like, oh man, like Christina had it out for me, because we didn't have the fence, the real, yeah, so we had to. Like, I am not doing that. But yeah, okay, okay.
You are.
Play game.
Oh.
Yeah, it's already
Right doing it. Yeah.
I'm gonna do.
Okay, give you this computer.
Bingo. It's a big deal. Traveling.
All right, everybody. Okay. We did a real good job. You guys don't even know. So. The time is 6:20, and I will open the public hearing for the Grand County Active Trails and Transportation Non-Motorized Trails Master Plan. A little bit of background. We had received this presentation previously before this came to us as a public hearing, but that meeting, the recording didn't work because surprise, it wouldn't be planning commission without IT problems. And so we're going to hear this presentation again. Once we hear the presentation, we'll take citizens testimony for the public hearing. And like every public hearing, we'll need a motion on the floor to deliberate. The non-motorized trails master plan is before us because components of this plan will necessitate some changes to the land use code. And so while we're here, remember that we're not the body that deliberates the appropriateness of the trails or the active transportation, or, oh, I want to see a mountain bike path next to my house. We're here thinking strictly within the context of the changes that will be made to the land use code. Just the land use, that's what we do. We're not the advisory body for GCAT. They have done substantial and rigorous public scoping for this plan already. So with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Murphy to give us a 5-10 minute presentation about the non-motorized trails master plan. A lot of this will be familiar, and we'll take it from there. Thank you, Kate.
All right, thanks, Tony. Might be more like 10 minutes. I'm going to try to be relatively succinct. I know everyone's tired, while also getting all the information on the record that needs to go on the record. So a little bit of background on the plan. So this is an update to an existing Grand County plan that was originally written by volunteers as part of Trail Mix, the Trail Mix Committee, back in 2005. Since then, it's been updated in 2008 and 2011. And in the text of this plan, it mandates that the plan is supposed to be updated every 5 years. So obviously, we're quite behind schedule for an update. So this update is doing a lot of work in terms of bringing the non-motorized master plan into the present and the future. And there's a lot of time to that has elapsed since 2011. A lot of things have changed. So there's sort of a need to expand the scope of the plan to include a little bit more active transportation. The original plan was mostly focused on recreation, so mountain bike trails, hiking trails. It also works expanding the scope of the plan a bit more to include roped activities and sort of a wider range of user groups. We wanted to identify community needs through public outreach, get back in touch with the community, try to find out whether trails are meeting their current needs or not. Have those needs evolved since 2011? How do we evolve the plan to sort of respond to that? And finally, making the plan as user-friendly as possible. As you can see from these images, the plan is great. It's very detailed. There's a lot of information in it, and it's very hard to read the maps. So one aspect of this plan was that we created a GIS tool that is going to be internally usable by, you know, any county department that needs to use it, by us for sure, but also planning department. And that's what we use to create our maps. So second relevant previous plan is the Unified Transportation Master Plan, or the UTMP. From 2022, this was a jointly adopted plan by the city and county. And it does quite a bit beyond what the original non-motorized trail master plan did. And there's really an additional focus on active transportation that comes through here. The plan talks about all kinds of things from, you know, motorized car transportation to non-motorized transportation to transit. And within that active transportation component, there's a really solid existing conditions analysis that we really built on in this plan. So we tried our best not to reinvent the wheel there, but there's really solid safety and demographic analysis. They came up with a list of recommended active transportation infrastructure projects and sort of a policy toolbox recommendations for policies that the city and county could implement to encourage active transportation. And in case I hadn't defined it already, active transportation is walking, biking, using means of getting around that are slower than 20 miles per hour. It always gets a bit tricky to define that with, you know, what types of e-bikes are you including in that category or whatever. We're using a mile per hour speed limit to make the distinction. But basically, you know, not cars. And one thing that the Unified Transportation Master Plan lacked was a network-based approach. So although there was sort of a laundry list of recommendations made for active transportation, they weren't necessarily looking at the county from this holistic perspective of how do we get people where they need to go to every single major destination in the county by a sort of continuous network with a continuous level of safety and comfort on it. So how do we make sure that people can get from their houses, wherever their houses are located, to the library, to city buildings, to school, to employment places, and making sure that we're really taking that side of the analysis into account. So all that brought us to, in 2023, Maddie and I applied for a TPA, Technical Planning Assistance Grant from UDOT. And these grants focus on active transportation. They focus on the relationship between land use and active transportation. And all the projects that are coming out of it should be sort of focused on bringing those two things together. So we received $120,000 total. So the county didn't provide any sort of out-of-pocket cash. The city provided $30,000 in match funds, and then the grant went to hiring me as the consultant within GCAT, or as the project coordinator within GCAT, and the consultant, which we chose also planning and design. And a little bit about the scope of work that we came up with for this plan. So this is a long-range planning document. So this isn't necessarily mandating a certain set of requirements for implementation. So there's a bunch of recommendations. There's a lot of things that we'd like to see. There's a prioritization aspect, but we're not necessarily telling the county, if you pass this plan, then you have to, you know, construct this and this and this. So the implementation would be at the discretion of county commission in the county, planning commission, and city council in the city. So updates to existing soft surface trail network. So we need more up-to-date maps, the GIS component. We're addressing changes in uses over time. We've got new user groups such as e-bikes, increased visitation, thinking about what's changed since 2011, and then developing that active transportation network plan that I described earlier. A big focus was improving connectivity of the existing system. And that was something that came out of our public comment a lot. The number one theme over and over and over was lack of connectivity within the system. We've got infrastructure here, but how do you get from here to here? Maintaining access to recreational assets and public land, integrating active transportation planning into development review and road design. So the technical advisory committee, that oversaw this project, we worked really closely with all these folks. And that was really great because we had a lot of skills and expertise that came from, all over the place coming into this. And I have the, county elected officials and staff circled there, including, 2 county commissioners. We had planning and zoning staff, we had, roads department staff, Andrea from Sandflat. So all these folks were really closely following our progress and advising us at every step of the way. We also worked with the folks below in the city. Trail Mix was very involved in the process, and we had a representative from UDOT. So this is what we've done so far. We posted our RFP back in January. We selected Alta Planning and Design as our consultant. Alta came down and we had a kickoff with our TAC where we all biked around town and looked at sort of the best and the worst of active transportation infrastructure in town. Everything from the Mill Creek Parkway and Moab Canyon Pathway to the Scott Galley Bridge, and places where we have just like really serious, awful active transportation. And then over the summertime, we started our public engagement process. We held stakeholder meetings. These were more focused meetings with specific user groups that we thought would have specific needs from our streets and trails. That was businesses. We had a vulnerable street users group, which was awesome. It contained representatives from groups that work with seniors, children, homeless folks, people who speak English as a second language, basically anyone that we thought would maybe have a very particular need from our streets that maybe wasn't being addressed. And then we had public visioning meetings, which were a little bit more broad. We advertised this to everyone in the public who wanted to come, and we had maps of the whole county open where people could draw on anything they'd like to see. And all of that was sort of part of how we began to formulate our proposals. We also had an online survey and comment app, which was sort of an online version of the same thing. And we had 439 responses, which I was really happy with. And you can see on the right-hand side of the screen here is an example of what the survey map looked like. So people were able to go on, recommend things, mention a place that felt dangerous or an opportunity that they'd like to see, and people could sort of vote up or down each other's ideas. Starting in August, I have been reaching out to landowners. That's been ongoing. So anyone who was affected by the 2011 master plan received a postcard in the mail and an invitation to have follow-up, one-on-one conversation with me. I had 18 follow-up conversations, and a lot of those have been ongoing, sort of, back and forth phone or email communications. And then we had a midterm open house where we had 47 attendees. And over the course of the fall, we finished up our final draft. And now we are at presentations to county and city. And last week on the 9th, the plan was adopted by city council. So we're at the point where we are coming to the county to see how the county wants to move forward. Just a couple of photos from public engagement. And then sort of the mission and guiding principles that we came to as part of our public engagement process. I'm not going to read this, but it basically gets at everything I talked about earlier in a succinct sentence. These are the goals and strategies we came up with. All of these came directly out of the results of our public engagement process, and all that is documented in chapter 3 of the plan. And then finally, our network recommendations look like this. We've got our maps. We have 2 separate set of maps and matrices. One set is for active transportation recommendations. So that's majority paved, bike paths, road adjacent infrastructure. And then separately, we have these natural surface maps. So this is more similar to what you might have seen in the 2011 master plan. And in both cases, we have a set of matrices that accompany each map with information about each existing trail or trail proposal. And then I wanted to get into frequently asked questions because I'm expecting we'll have these. Why is private property included in this plan? So the vast majority of identified parcels that we have as sort of proposals in this plan were already in the 2011 master plan. And so there is this sort of like importance of if something is going to change, we need to be able to document why that is. And we're not going to be sort of like willy-nilly taking things off. the public engagement for this plan reaffirmed the importance of maintaining access to public lands and maintaining access to close to home trails. As you can see over on the side, it's kind of small, but this is the result of our survey. So we asked people what sort of improvements would you like to see in trails in the county? And, you know, number one in almost every category for both residents and visitors was either more close to home trails or better connectivity or better access from town to trailheads. So this is clearly a huge priority. At the top, we've got 162 mentions of more close to home bike trails, 84 mentions of more close to home hiking trails. So people are really wanting this. This is for the public. What does it mean if my property is in this plan? The state of Utah does not allow the use of eminent domain for trails. So this is something that I've started with in all my conversation with private property owners, is that, you know, the city is not coming for your land. The county is not coming for your land. Only in the event of a subdivision can the county require the dedication of an easement. An easement isn't a piece of property being transferred. It is the right to use a piece of property, the right to access it. And in this case, the right to allow the public to access it. And usually that would be in order to access a recreational or active transportation trail that is considered a vital key piece of the trail network around the county. Inclusion of the trail in this plan allows the county to set aside funds or other resources to compensate property owners for an easement. If we don't have this in a plan, the county's not going to have anything to look to be able to work with property owners who do want to sell or do want to do a potential transfer of development rights or something like that in the future to facilitate an easement. So how have we responded to previous feedback from property owners? So the main thing is hiring me. We could have tried, pulled this plan off in a much less sort of deep and wide public outreach method. And we decided to wait until we could get a grant, until we could hire a staff person to be able to go through and be available to have all these conversations with private property owners. So that's number one. And as I said, I corresponded with 18 private property owners individually, and a lot more folks, came to meetings, expressed themselves on the survey. We increased the awareness about the 2011 plan. So one issue that we became aware of throughout this process is there are a lot of folks who didn't know that their property was included on the 2011 plan. So that was sort of our main primary goal, was to get in touch with people, explain that their property is affected by the 2011 plan, explain what that actually means, just dispel any misinformation that's happening there. And open a line for people to be able to express their desires for how their property is represented. And then a big thing that we did is we changed the symbology of the trail proposals crossing private property in this update, because something that we heard a lot from folks was that it looked, from the way that trails were drawn in the 2011 plan, as though there was already a trail that was being identified on their property. And there was a lot of fear of people are going to trespass, or maybe somebody already did trespass in order to ground truth this, which is absolutely not the case. All of these proposals are concepts. And the lines that are on the map are not alignments. So what we did was we changed our symbology to thicker, transparent, straighter lines that are just very clearly not trails, to just kind of indicate there's a desire for people to be able to get from point A to point B, and how that happens would be a negotiation between the county and the private property owner in the future, and the private property owner's desire for where that alignment would obviously be taken into account. So I'm not going to go through this, but this is just a reference for us as we're talking. This is everything that's in the plan.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Good job, 10 minutes too.
Nice.
All right.
So I
So
was able to read everything on all the slides.
So I know we have some public testimony to hear before we entertain a motion. I know a couple of folks are in the room. So we'll just go from my right to left, please. If you would come up and you have a comment, state your name for the microphone, and then we'll give each person 3 minutes to weigh in.
Yeah. I'm Emily Lesnar. I'm on Trailmix. I'm the active transportation committee member, very new. So I came in at the right time because Katie was working on this plan. Katie pretty much said everything that I wrote down to say. So I'll be really fast and reiterate that this plan is going to facilitate land use for active transportation, which I and you all should be passionate about. Moab runs on its people, And if we're not getting people where they need to go, then we can't run as a community, our visitors can't participate. And, you know, Moab is growing. We talked a lot about affordable housing tonight. People are growing out towards the valley and there's no way to access the valley. Except if you want to walk a long way on the side of a dangerous road, or if you want to use a car, and cars aren't necessarily the right way for all people to use to get to and from where they need to go. So this plan is gonna facilitate that access.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Christina Young. I'm a research scientist with a PhD in ecology and evolutionary biology, and I've been living in Grand County for over 14 years. And I'm here to emphasize to everyone in this room how important it is that Grand County plans proactively for active transportation. And so thoughtful long-term planning really allows us to build infrastructure that's safe, connected, and usable to all the residents of Grand County. When these networks are planned in advance, they are more cost-effective and successful. That's been shown in study after study. And so as a resident and as someone who uses active transportation, my health, my quality of life, and the safety of myself and everyone in my community are all improved when these routes are intentional, continuous, and designed with residents in mind. And as a scientist, I also want to emphasize that transportation is really one of the largest sources of greenhouse gas emissions in our region. And so expanding active transportation is one of the most immediate and practical steps we can take at the local level to reduce emissions, improve the air quality and everything that people in this county are breathing in and day out, and build the much needed resilience that this county really needs. And so this plan is really a tangible way for Grand County to align its commitment to the well-being of its residents with action. And so I just want to strongly encourage the county to prioritize these pre-planned and well-connected active transportation infrastructure. And doing so is really an investment in the health of the residents, our surrounding, and really the future livability of Grand County. And so thank you for your time and for letting me speak.
Thank you.
I don't have a comment.
Hearing no more public testimony for the hearing, I would now entertain a motion either in favor or not in favor of a recommendation of plan adoption to the Grand County Commission.
I'll make the motion in favor of adopting the plan to forward it on to Grand County for.
Seconded by,
Second.
I'll give that one to Laura.
Gotcha.
I don't know how much deliberation we need on this one, but I will let you guys know, just as an exercise, because sometimes I do my homework. Just on this past weekend, I decided to ride my bike home from Woody's, and I live all the way out in Arroyo Crossing. And let me tell you, a continuous bike path would be pretty nice. That was quite a hill. I do not ride a bike that often.
I think this plan makes it downhill from where it is.
That would be great.
Yeah. I have never been a part of this is an amendment to the general plan.
This is not an amendment to the general plan. No,
Okay,
this
how
is,
does this?
there are a couple, and I don't have them identified specifically in my memory, but a couple potential amendments to the land use code that will come from the existence of this plan, that this plan will necessitate when we get around to updating the land use code. I think primarily regarding the topics related to setbacks and lot lines adjacent to transportation rights. Okay.
I kind of see it as a second general plan.
No, this is substantially subordinate legally to what a general plan functions as.
Okay.
To my knowledge, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, active transportation and trails master plan is not a statutorily mandated
Gotcha.
plan that the state can come down on us and say, why didn't you do that?
Yeah.
This is just a very good tool that explains.
So there is a requirement to have land use, transportation, housing and water preservation
Okay.
are the chapters that are required. And within the transportation, you have like the Unified Transportation Plan, and then you pull bits that out into the transportation element. And same with this, you'll have this as a active transportation, non-motorized active transportation plan that then you'll pull elements out of and put into a chapter or element of the general plan on transportation.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay.
Well said.
Okay, so then, contrary to your point, this would be an amendment to the general plan and not the land use code.
No, so
Or it would be the.
so we'll just take parts that are applicable
Yeah.
out of this. So this stands alone as its own plan.
Mhm.
And then we'll take parts of that out when we
So there,
update the
there would be
transportation.
general plan amendments, so,
There will be some, yes,
but
yes,
there will also be land use code.
yes, correct.
And the land use code
Yeah, I just
section
wanted
of
to make
this.
sure that's clear.
No, thank you, yeah.
The land use section of this, Katie talked about, and it's where, when we do a subdivision. I mean, it's something I used all the time, when there's, a plant or a trail, that might go through your property. If you subdivide your land, that will show up.
Mhm.
And not necessarily as an easement, although we did use them for easements, that will actually be a trail that can be put into the plan based on this, the subdivision based on this.
So my understanding is, so the code already mandates that if there is a trail, a planned trail on an approved master plan, so as this would be if it were approved, then at the time of subdivision, at the discretion of planning commission, that subdivision could be required to record an easement, as part of the development agreement.
Okay, but that's the way it's written in your section. Yeah. But this, when never, generally, if you have a subdivision going in, and there is something like this out there, that's added into their project, process and project.
Yes, so that'd be if there is a development agreement on it. And I'm not attorney, don't play one on TV, but there could be some takings issues for a trails where you don't have eminent domain like you do with a water line, sewer line, et cetera. Plus, there's that, if you require a trail on everybody's property, then you're okay. If it's only like this person, lucky you, you're here where there's a trail, so you have it, but over here, we don't require a trail, that's where impact fees should cover some of that.
And we have that trail down Spanish Valley Drive. And I think this is gonna help. I mean, the trail, the regulation is on Spanish Valley Drive.
And I'll chime in here just mainly for folks who might be listening to this after the fact, saying that they weren't notified, yada, 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 the way that it always works. In the state of Utah, private landowners who allow public recreation easements or rights of way across their property are protected from liability damages. So that's something that I say all the time in my line of work. Just letting all the property owners who may be listening in out there know that you are protected under Utah law for when you allow public access.
And additionally, if the facility is adjacent to a UDOT facility and if doing any expansion on the UDOT facility, then the state also has to pay for that construction of the trail that's adjacent to that state highway.
Yeah, and just to let everybody know for the public, the plan can be found on the November 10th meeting right there, so it's not uploaded. And I don't know if there's been a new copy, but the one that I went through still has it's still missing the existing conditions. So I don't know if this has been updated since the November 10th.
There is an agenda summary that has the most up to date.
Okay, yeah, I
For this
didn't see it, so I was just,
Yeah.
just pointing that out. And then second, I just wanted to ask a question here. At the last meeting, we had brought up the idea of the concurrent of this project right here. And so now we've kind of jumped out of that pattern. So the city, it went through the city planning, right? And now it has been adopted by the city council. So any changes recommended now by us would then have to change. So in the planning process of this plan now, we've been put at a disadvantage of making recommendations.
It is, well, I will comment only this, and I am not an elected, you're the elected here. We did say pretty clearly that we wanted it to run concurrently with the city process so that we didn't have to worry about the back and forth. No one in this room is in control of how the city chooses to conduct their business, and the city decided to bump up the timeline by a week, so there you go. That's not our call. Well, in that case, vote on Jerry's motion to send a favorable recommendation to the county commission. All in favor? Passes unanimously. All right. Moving on. Oh, and how long will the public hearing be open?
So for the planning commission, it's done.
Okay.
At the county commission, then it goes to 10 days.
Gotcha. I always forget that. All right, last order of business, you folks will remember we're kind of jumping around the agenda, but we'll go back up to agenda business items. We have item number 3. We need to revisit the Lavina subdivision rezone because although a quorum of members voted, we did not have a majority of the quorum in voting one way or the other. It was such a split vote that it was basically an insubstantial motion. The motion did not pass due to inadequate.
Yeah. So recap, Aaron made a motion to recommend approval of the zone change, and Jerry seconded that motion. And then we had Megan, Jerry, and Tony all voted in favor. Mary and Aaron voted opposed, and Obi abstained from that. So it was 3-2-1, and we have to have at least 4 to move something forward.
Yeah, it's not.
You've got a couple options. One is to do a positive recommendation, one is to do a negative recommendation, and one is to do no recommendation at all. And in state code, it states that if a planning commission does not forward a recommendation within a timely manner, then it goes forward as a negative recommendation to the county commission. And in discussions with legal counsel, they wanted this to come back to this meeting to see if you wanted to move forward with a motion, or it could just go on with a negative motion without a vote. But it's still.
I have a solution to that one, folks. Something has been brought back to us. I would make a motion to send no recommendation to the county commission on the Lavina subdivision. I was waffling on this one quite a bit. And it's kind of more representative of my exact feelings on the subject. And I also think that we don't use it very often, but no recommendation might be a little bit more of a palatable thing for our body to chew on and might help us move. Even if it's no recommendation, it's definitive and affirmative no recommendation. Now, we say that in planning a lot. The decision not to make a decision is still a decision. So that's my motion.
Neither positive nor negative.
Right, yeah, a neutral recommendation is
But
what.
that would still move it forward to,
Yeah, and it would
Yeah,
move
it
it
still
forward,
goes tomorrow,
it would move it forward
regardless.
without it becoming a default negative.
Did you
Okay.
make the motion?
I made a motion, but I haven't had a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Megan. Laura, what was your question?
I'm just kind of trying to wrap my brain around this concept of. Is the commission able to not, is the commission able to do the same thing, not?
No, the commission, I imagine, would
Has
have
to.
to
The
make
county
the
commission,
determination.
yeah.
They're
Okay.
deciding.
Yeah, so your advisory.
Right. Okay.
And so. Because everybody has their due process. And if somebody applies for a zone change application. Regardless of what happens at planning commission, it still gets forwarded to the county commission. As an advisory board, you can't say, no, you can't go to the county commission.
Yeah.
So still gonna go, it's just what recommendation. accompanies that. So it is on the agenda for tomorrow. After legal review, they wanted us to bring it back to here to decide if you wanted to, and the no recommendation is.
An option,
an
one of
option.
3 options that we have. I
So you
wasn't,
could formally make a no, and you can also just not
yeah,
even talk about it at all.
Yeah.
By default. it goes through.
there was a public hearing for this at the last meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, I missed it, so maybe I
Yeah.
probably won't.
Yeah, you.
But you could, if we vote now, it would still be a no recommendation. You wouldn't be saying yes
That's
or no.
the motion on the table is a no. No, right now.
Mhm. Oh,
No,
It's not
no
recommendation,
recommendation, yeah.
not
No.
opposed,
Yeah,
but
right,
no
not a
recommendation law.
negative recommendation.
But then you're not voting for or against
Right,
the rezone.
I could still abstain though.
Because
Sure.
to.
I
So
would-
if you have 4.
I would- yeah,
We'll probably get four. Did somebody second it?
yeah, Megan seconded.
Good.
Any further deliberation we need?
Nobody wants a revote?
That's what we're doing right now.
No, but
You
for
want-
like a yes or a no? No.
I would vote on that, but if getting it before the commission, if this is the route that we have to take to
We're
do
going,
so.
listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, we're gonna vote on this thing tonight, one of 3 ways. Right? And so. I don't. It's my last meeting, we can stay here late, what if I just withdraw?
Well, your motion's on the floor. I would say.
Yeah.
So-
We do-
So we gotta vote, or we have a motion.
Alternative. Why don't we do a straw poll to see if we change? We can do a straw poll with no motion.
Yeah, all right,
Yeah, discuss how you feel about that motion.
yeah. Wait, are we doing a straw poll on the motion or a straw poll on how we would vote if the motion were a favorable recommendation?
I think
So we
that
can't
was-
really do a straw poll, but you can, everybody can state their opinion on the motion.
Yeah.
I still feel that I would vote no. I give it a negative recommendation, mainly to protect the residential properties at the front of this property. There's other ways you can go about getting what he wants, but this is just not a good way to do it. The neighborhood's a neighborhood, have commercial property right next to you. Good. I mean, honestly, he's going to put probably housing, maybe not a lot of housing, but you don't know.
That's always the hang up when these things come up, when it's getting upzoned to commercial. I could have all the faith, my own mother could promise me that she is going to build high density affordable housing on that commercial lot. It's not about her trustworthiness. That's why it's not a hard yes for me, why I waffle.
Can we review what the upzoning actually was?
I think it was going
Yeah.
small lot residential.
No, so.
No?
No, so it's, the existing zoning is highway commercial, general business and large lot residential. And the requested zone is to have the whole thing highway commercial. So you have 3 zones on this property as is.
Well, it's actually 3 different properties, right?
There's a subdivision, Lavina subdivision, which include, and then I think they've got one other parcel associated, beyond that, subdivision.
But wasn't that subdivision already approved?
Yes, subdivision was approved as a subdivision. But then to, go to this density that he wants, it has to be a highway commercial, as I read the code. Because like a plan unit development, as I read the code, doesn't give you extra units, it only gives you freedom in how to place those units. And so he's wanting to continue on with these duplexes that are, like the duplexes that are there already.
There's also a lot of constrained lands on the ground, so you lose some of your density. due to the constrained land.
I drove past it after we had this meeting because I wanted to see
You understand
the drainage and everything else.
Point to it.
You know, one thing that threw me into the
all
highway
these
commercial is it is adjacent.
It's in that.
And Mary,
The node.
your comment was It's in the drainage, but those are design issues, and they don't have to go through design if you have them usable, and so that, in my mind, that eased my mind a bit on the design side, and that's the reason that I voted for the, yeah, I was in favor last time. And I'm okay either way, if you wanna go no recommendation, I would vote for it if you're gonna vote for it again, or vote on yes or no.
If a no recommendation, if I were to withdraw my motion and we had to go either favorable or unfavorable, I would still probably stick with unfavorable on that one simply because of the upzone, like, that's, and the like, if ever that did became something that wasn't housing, I'm thinking about what, like, that's definitely, it might not be the most perfect place in the county for housing, but it's definitely one of the, I drive past it every day. Worst places I can think of to try to put a business, the ingress and egress and the steepness. So that's my thing.
Ryan, do you have any thoughts?
I'm not, we'll let you guys go ahead and deliberate. I'll have a chance tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanna hear your guys' recommendations.
I'm kind of with Mary, like his plans could be done through different means, so I'm just kind of like, well, just do that. Cause that's what you wanna do, and don't leave this problem with, in the future. Though I do agree with Jerry, I'm like, yeah, it is like a design issue and it's on the highway. And it's kind of, but, oh man, it's just right in that weird spot of that neighborhood. I can understand why it's not necessarily the best plan.
Well, the property's actually got a big wash.
Yeah,
Wash,
yeah.
there's commercial property on the highway has a wash,
Yeah.
and then their commercial property is not gonna be using the highway. They're gonna
Yeah,
be
exactly.
using that
Yeah.
plateau circle.
Yeah.
That's the photo.
So like, yeah.
It's got a lot of strength, it's no snow.
Yeah, I just. mean,
But they did say they had addressed drainage, right?
For the
We have,
subdivision, for the subdivision that exists, it's only like 6 lots or something.
Well, so, and Sean is our floodplain manager, so that. Okay. But yeah, there is a channel through there, Ray, that they have to preserve, but they're outside of that channel, is that right, Sean?
Subdivision land.
I'll jump in as a floodplain guy. We probably can't make that determination until they submit a floodplain development permit,
Okay.
and they haven't done that yet, so I wouldn't say that they are.
So I just thought they were outside of the easement that goes through there.
But the subdivision probably is.
Yeah. Sorry, Sean, I didn't mean to jump in.
That's okay, there are a lot of challenges for sure with the property, and with what kind of traffic flows.
It's got constrained, a lot of constrained on it.
I don't know.
All right, sounds like.
Yeah.
Question.
All right, so can I have a vote on no recommendation, the neutral stance?
Do we have to do something with the motion that's on the table? This is what, this is- okay.
Yeah,
okay.
the no stance, no recommendation forwarded to the.
I'm abstaining.
Okay,
All right, so that's, Mary, were you a
601.
6?
good luck on that.
Well, guys.
It's a big deal, kids.
been real, Tony.
Been real. This is the definitely last planning commission for myself and Laura Long, hopefully not for Mary. But, I wanted to let you folks know, very quickly, I know we're trying to get home, I'm not gonna take up a lot of your time. But, how sincerely proud you guys make me of our community writ large. We are able to come here and deliberate issues that can become hot in ways that the news on television and your Instagram feed, those things don't get quite as real. They're not always quite as in your face as when you're up here literally publicly weighing the pros and cons of your neighbor's character or making decisions and providing advice on what the neighbors can do with their property. This tense, man, and this isn't some community like Chicago or even Salt Lake City where it's like you're not gonna run into that person at City Market. It takes a level of bravery to remain faithful to the public trust when we conduct this work in a community this small. And I would encourage and implore you guys to keep that bravery and that purpose in front of you over the next 4 years. That's what we're doing here.
And I'm going to say that we have never had a better chair.
I don't know,
In all the
man.
years I- Oh.
Mary, that simply can't be true. Best chair I've known.
Really, there's been a few, and we were one of the, has been very, very easy.
Super.
You're very professional at it, good at it. I'm gonna mention you like crazy.
Making me blush.
Yeah.
You are blushing. Oh.
Yeah, a motion to adjourn, Jerry? I will second. All in favor, let's go home. All right. Andrew, I have my 3-ring binder of all my notes. Can I?